Welcome to Wildly Capable with Kate, a podcast made for those looking to unleash their wildest capabilities. I'm your host, Kate DeRocher, a dating, relationship, and self-worth coach on a mission to help people build better relationships, starting with the one they have with themselves. In each episode, we'll dig deep, turn inwards, and embark on a transformative journey. Together, we'll break free from unhealthy patterns, rip through self-limiting beliefs, heal past wounds, and build unwavering self-worth, all to create healthier relationships as a result. Get ready to explore the wild, untapped potential within you. Are you ready to see just how wildly capable you are? Subscribe now and join us on this empowering adventure. Remember, your wildest capabilities await. Have you ever been in a relationship where you can see your partner's potential, but they just can't see it for themselves? Or what about a situation where if things were just to change a little bit, then your relationship would improve tenfold, but for some reason the other person just isn't willing to work with you? I have. And today we're going to talk about that. Hi everyone, I'm Kate DeRocher, and you're listening to Wildly Capable with Kate, the podcast made for those looking to unleash their wildest capabilities. Like I said, I'm your host, Kate, and I am on a mission to help you build better relationships, starting first with the one that you have with yourselves. And today, I want to talk about a topic that I have lost sleep over, that I have questioned many times, that I have listened to so many people question, and that is, how do you get your partner to do the work? How do you get somebody else to do the work? Let's dive into it, because it's a question that I think so many people have when it comes to their relationships, when it comes to their significant other, and when it just comes to other people in their lives. How do I get my mom to change, my dad to change? How do I get my sibling to hear me and to change their behavior? We all have that question. So I want to break it down for you. I want to give you my thoughts and then give you some tips for maybe how to help improve and work through that question. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys some exciting news. I am hosting my first retreat this Labor Day weekend. It is the Wildly Capable for Women retreat. And I have space for 7 more people, at least at the time that I'm recording this podcast. I have space for 7 more women to join us for the transformative weekend. We're going to go horseback riding, do contrast therapy, sauna, ice plunge. We're going to do a sound bath. We're going to have a private farm-to-table chef. It's going to be an incredible weekend surrounded by amazing women who are all focused on healing and discovering how capable they are. I'm going to help you step into your wild woman. I'm going to help you step into the woman you were always created to be. So if you are interested and you're listening to this podcast, some great news for you, because just by listening to this podcast, you get 10% off the retreat as a thank you for listening in. So head to my website, CoachKateDeRocher.com, head to the events page, sign up, and use code RETREAT to get your 10% off. I would love to see you there. It's going to be a really empowering journey, a really empowering weekend. It's going to help us get in there and figure out what's not working so we can come out stronger and healthier and more courageous than before. So if you're a woman listening to this and this is calling to you at all, head to CoachKateDeRocher.com, use code RETREAT, and I will see you this Labor Day weekend in Dripping Springs, Texas. I'm so excited to meet you. All right, back to the episode. So many of us end up dating for potential, or we get in relationships where we are hoping that the other person will probably change just a little bit about themselves and that will work better for us. Or we have friendships or family members who we can see that if they just did a little bit of work, if they just did some healing work and they better understood themselves, if they had more self-awareness, then their lives, and hence our lives, could be easier. It could be better. And because we can see that, because we do want to form healthier relationships, we are left wondering how we can get other people to do the work that we maybe can very clearly see that they need to do, that maybe they're not seeing for themselves. Have you ever experienced that? Yes, most likely you have, especially if you've been in relationships where maybe there's just some stuff that needs to change or some healing that needs to happen to make the relationship better. For some reason, you're the only one who's willing to do the hard stuff. The other person is stuck or resistant or just doesn't even see that it's necessary. What do you do? Let me first tell you a little bit about my experience in this category. So when Bobby and I broke up, most of you listening to this probably know that me and my current partner went through a 2-month breakup about a year and a half ago. And in that breakup, we didn't break up over something terrible that happened. There was no betrayal or anything difficult like that. We just broke up because there were certain things that we both needed to work on within ourselves and within the relationship to make the relationship stronger. But Bobby, because he was new to relationships, couldn't really see the things that I was seeing already. I'm a relationship coach. It's easier for me to see those things. I would hope, my goodness, that I could see those things. But I just knew that there was work that needed to happen. And I tried for weeks, months to get Bobby to see what I was seeing and to be willing to do that hard work, be willing to do the work internally and for us. But he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to yet. Luckily for me, he came back. He realized the things that I was saying were true. And we did a ton of really great work, both as individuals and for our relationship. And we've come back together stronger than we ever were before. But during those 2 months where I was trying to get him to see what I was seeing, I was so frustrated. I was so exhausted. I could not figure out what to say or how to say it to get through to him. And I can guarantee that other people listening to this podcast have felt that same way many times in their relationships and in their lives. If you are listening to this and you're in a relationship or you were in a past relationship where you were trying to get your partner to work with you, to change some things, to heal some things, but they just wouldn't, then this episode is for you. How do you get your partner to do the work? Can you get your partner to do the work? Let's break it down. I know this is a frustration that so many relationships have. I have a client, for example, who was with a guy for roughly a year, a little bit over a year. And she'd been my client for about 2 years, and she was really doing some deep internal work. So she was learning how to regulate her emotions, how to manage conflict, how to have healthy boundaries. She was learning all of those sorts of life skills through our work together. But her boyfriend, unfortunately, was very new to the world of self-development. He had old wounds coming from past relationships and from his childhood that he wasn't aware of. And since he wasn't aware of them, he especially wasn't aware of how they were affecting him as a person and his relationship with my client. And unfortunately, throughout the time span of their relationship, she tried and tried and tried to get him to wake up and to see what she was saying and to get a therapist or a coach and to do some sort of healing work, to hold himself accountable, to look in the mirror, to just like really dive into what's going on internally. She really tried to encourage him to do that, but he wasn't willing. He wasn't able to, not yet at least. Hopefully someday he will be. But because he wasn't able to then during their relationship, they ended up going through a breakup. And it was so hard to see because she was so committed to that hard work. But unfortunately, if both people in the relationship are not committed to that hard work, then it's not going to happen. I've seen it time and time again. One person really wants things to work. One person really wants to improve the relationship, and the other person just doesn't, or they just aren't capable of it because they have so much baggage and so many wounds going on within them that they're not able to get past. It's really hard to do the work. If you are somebody who's been on a healing journey, maybe you've been working on yourself for years, then you know firsthand that doing that work didn't just come naturally. It wasn't easy. It probably took time for you to get to the point where you realized, oh my goodness, you need to make some changes. You probably even hit rock bottom before you were willing to make those changes. That's pretty much how it goes for most people. I wish that people could learn just through your experiences or just through what you're sharing with them. I have so many clients that I share with them my wisdom and my own experiences in the hopes that they will learn through me, but in reality, they have to learn for themselves. A lot of times they have to learn the hard way. They have to make the mistake. They have to go against the wisdom that I'm sharing with them, experience the outcome. Maybe it's a negative outcome, sit with the consequences, and then learn through that. They grow through that. And that's a really beautiful thing. As long as the work is happening, then I'm grateful for whatever vehicle it took to get them to that place. But I'm sharing that because I know so many of you listening to this are really, really hoping that you can figure out a way to get your partner to do the work, to get a therapist, to get a coach, to do whatever it is that you think they need to do. But the reality of the situation is that most likely they're going to have to do it and learn it the hard way and for themselves. And hopefully that doesn't look like hitting rock bottom like I had to in order to start making some changes in my life. But oftentimes that is what it takes. It takes something shaking your reality, hitting you so smack dab in the middle of your face that you can't ignore it, for you to finally say, okay, it is time. I'm going to take control. I'm going to change things. I'm going to heal. For a lot of people, that's what it takes. So if you're getting really frustrated with your partner because they're not doing the necessary work to improve themselves or improve the relationship, then I want you to know that probably the best thing you can do for yourself is to surrender. If you are with somebody who you want to be with for the long haul, or maybe you're married, but you really want some work to happen, you need to surrender, release the pressure, release the control, and trust the timing of that person's life. Trust that God, the universe, whatever you want to believe in, I believe in God, trust that He will guide that person, it will guide that person towards what they need, towards the experiences and the lessons that they need to grow. Trust in the timing of their life and your life. Just trust. Trust that the growth will come. The more that you push and prod and pull and try to get them to change, the more likely they are to shut down and be resistant to it. I know in my own life, when people tell me what to do, I, kind of want to do the opposite, which is something I probably need to work on. But that's the same for a lot of people. That is human behavior. We really only make changes when we want to for ourselves, not when somebody else wants us to. That's a difficult truth, but it is the truth. You can probably see it in your own life even. In a relationship, and I'm talking with romantic relationships or any other type of relationship, it isn't your job to get the other person to change. And when you make it your job, you not only drain your energy, your time, your vitality, but you take away the opportunity for the other person to truly be empowered and make changes for themselves. You enable them to not have to do the hard work on their own. It is not your responsibility to get somebody to see what you see. It is not your responsibility to get somebody to experience the growth that you want them to experience. It isn't your responsibility to hold somebody else accountable. It is their responsibility. It is their life. And if they are going to see true change, they have to be the one to take control. They have to be the one to hold themselves accountable. They have to be the one to seek out the different healing modalities like a therapist or a coach. If you do it for them, they're never going to learn how to do it for themselves. And on top of that, trying to make somebody change, trying to change things about somebody, honestly, that's not love at all. That's a form of control. And I know that is so hard to hear because your intentions are probably good, but forcing somebody to be molded and to become the person that you think they should become, that's not your job. That's not your right. It is their life and they get to choose. And if you truly love somebody, then that means loving them for every part of who they are, all of their flaws, all of their wounds, all of their patterns, and loving them through those things as they grow, giving them the space and the opportunity to grow while you love them. You have two options. You can either leave and find somebody who is focused on growth, or you can stay and accept the other person for who they are today, take them at face value, and if they grow and heal and develop over time, then amazing. But you also have to accept that maybe they won't. So who you are signing up for today is who you have to realize maybe who you sign up for the rest of your life. So it is your responsibility to pay attention and say, does this work for me? Can I handle these things for the rest of my life? Or is there so much change that needs to happen? So many things that actually go against my needs or my boundaries or my values that's within this person that I can't accept this. I need to get out of this relationship. You need to decide. It's either stay and accept the person or leave and find somebody else who better fits you. And at the same time, I want to say that in a healthy, amazing partnership, you two do help each other change. You help each other grow. I have grown so much through my relationship with Bobby. And I talked about in a past episode how relationships really are meant for growth. Growth needs to be the cornerstone, one of the cornerstones of your relationship to make it healthy, to make it fruitful, to make it fulfilling. Growth needs to be at the center. So you will help each other develop and step into the people that you were always meant to be. But there's a difference in encouraging your partner, calling out some things that you see that they can improve on, that they can grow through in a loving, constructive way, and just trying to get them to change and be who you expect them to be. There's a difference. So first and foremost, if you're in a relationship with somebody who you're hoping is going to change, I want you to ask yourself that question. Will I be okay if this person never changes? Or do I know that I will not be able to accept this for the rest of my life? Sit with yourself, kind of dissect that a little bit, and then take action from there. But remember that getting somebody to change is not your right, your job, or your responsibility. It's theirs. And the last thing to think about when it comes to can you get your partner to do the work, how do you get your partner to do the work, is that willingness on top of growth is another very important pillar in a relationship. When two people are both willing to do the work, they're both willing to make the changes necessary. They're both willing to examine themselves and grow continually for the rest of their lives. That's when really healthy, really powerful partnerships are formed. But if just one person is willing and the other person isn't, or if both people are being very stubborn and neither are willing to do the work, those relationships won't last. And if you are the only person in the relationship who's willing to do the work, who's willing to grow, who's willing to fight for the relationship, and you keep hanging on for dear life to the other person who isn't willing, I promise you that you are going to feel so unfulfilled within your relationship and within your life. There is more out there for you. There is somebody who's just as willing as you are. So give yourself the freedom to find them. Give yourself the right to find them. Willingness is so important in a healthy partnership. And if both people don't match each other's willingness, then it's going to be a big struggle. So pay attention to the people that you are going on dates with or the people that you are entering into relationships with. Do you see growth as being one of their values? Is it something that they care about? Is it something that they focus on? Are they pursuing different hobbies or healing or just trying to examine themselves and be self-aware? Is that a trait that they possess? Or is it one that maybe you're seeing they're lacking in? Pay attention to that now before you get into the relationship. Or if you are in the relationship, examine that and ask yourself, are they willing? Am I willing? If you're not willing, then that's where your work comes in too. Both people have to be. Both people have to be committed to growth, committed to healing, committed to the process of changing if the relationship is going to last. And sometimes your partner may be more willing than you or you more willing than them. Sometimes your partner will want to go to therapy or to focus on a struggle you two are having and you're going to feel resistant to it. It's okay to have those stages where you're a little bit hesitant or resistant or you just don't want to do it. You feel tired. That's okay. You're a human. That's when your partner gets to pull you up and encourage you. And then you have to step back up to the plate. But you can't stay out. You can't stay out in outfield and not step up. You have to step up eventually. Both people have to be willing. Without willingness on both ends, one of you will have to be pulling the other one up over and over. And that rope that you're using to drag your partner along will eventually become a noose around both of your necks. You two will grow resentful towards each other. You will feel exhausted, burnt out, and frustrated in your relationship. You'll lose respect for your partner. You'll lose respect for yourself. And you'll be left in an unfulfilling situation in relationship. On top of that, your partner will feel controlled, belittled, like they're not good enough. So many negative side effects will come from you forcing somebody to change when they aren't ready or not willing to. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to whether growth is an important part of a person's life or not, both now while you're single and dating and when you're in a relationship. Pay attention to that value. Do you have it? Do they have it? It's something that both of you need to be working towards. I'm going to pause really quickly to remind you that just by listening to this podcast, you have the opportunity to get 10% off of my upcoming Wildly Capable for Women's retreat. The retreat is being held this Labor Day weekend in Dripping Springs, Texas. It's at a beautiful luxury Airbnb. I've planned out every detail for you guys. There's going to be horseback riding, yoga, sound bath, cold plunge, paint therapy. We're going to connect with one another. We're going to build amazing lifelong friendships. And we're going to really focus on the growth that I talk to you all about every time you listen to this podcast. I'm going to help you discover how wildly capable you are. So if you're interested, use code RETREAT at my website, CoachKateDeRocher.com right now and get 10% off of the retreat. It's a 3-day retreat over Labor Day weekend, so pretty easy to have the flexibility to travel if you work full time. I planned it that way specifically and on purpose. So I would love to see you there. There are 7 spots remaining. Make one of them yours. I will see you all in Texas. Before I close, I want to talk really quickly about what it means when you are with somebody who keeps telling you they're going to change, who keep telling you they're going to heal and grow, but they're not. What do you do in that circumstance? So you've probably heard the saying that words without actions, words when the actions do not align, is a form of manipulation. And that's true. Your partner may not be meaning to manipulate you. Chances are that they are just held back by their own fears and their old wounds, and that's what's preventing them from doing the hard work that they need to grow. But by them telling you over and over that they're going to change a certain behavior or change the way that they treat you, but then they don't, that is a form of manipulation. And you will be left hurting as a result. There's a fine line between giving somebody a chance to grow and allowing them to walk all over you and manipulate you. So there has to be kind of a boundary that you set eventually where, yes, you are gracious and you give somebody the space to heal and improve and grow, but you don't give them that space over the very serious things forever. You two will always be growing and changing and healing, but I'm talking about with the very negative things that they may be doing or the negative behaviors that they have that are really impacting you. There has to be a boundary set for how long you're going to allow them the chance to grow. And you have to make sure that you are seeing that growth happen. If you are not seeing them actually take action, if they're not signing up for a coach or listening to podcasts or reading self-help books, whatever it is that you know you want to see, if they're not doing that and they continue to not do that, then that's your sign that you need to leave. There is somebody out there for you who is so focused on growth and who will fight for you and the relationship and their own lives and their own futures always. I found that in my partner, Bobby, and I'm so grateful because I spent so much time with men who were not willing to work with me on things, who were not willing to do the hard work a relationship takes, who were not willing to do the hard work internally that was needed for them to step into who they were created to be. I have been in those relationships time and time again. I can remember one time I asked a guy if he would go to a meditation class with me, thinking it would be really healthy for both of us. And you would think that I asked him to give me his liver. That's how against it he was. And still I held on. I didn't see that as a sign that maybe he was unwilling to change and grow and work on things. And guess what? He wasn't. In the long haul, he most certainly was not willing to work on things with me and to work on things within himself. And we eventually broke up over it. But I stuck with the process and I found somebody who is willing to grow. Bobby is so focused on growth and I'm so grateful for that. Our relationship has come such a long way from when we first started dating because we both were willing, because we both committed to that work. So if you are with somebody who you really want to be willing, who you really want to get to do the work, but they just aren't, even though they keep promising you that they are, I don't think that's the right relationship for you. So give it some thought. If you have any questions or concerns, we can set up a coaching call and I can talk you through this even further. If you are interested in coaching, DM me the word capable at Coach Kate DeRocher. That's my Instagram and TikTok handle. Or you can fill out the coaching application in my website at CoachKateDeRocher.com and we'll hop on a call and we'll work through this together. And I'll help you figure out if this is somebody that you should keep giving chances to and keep holding on to, or if this is a person who has used up all their chances with you. CoachKateDeRocher.com or at Coach Kate DeRocher. Reach out and let's figure this out together. I want to close this episode out by saying that if there's anybody in your life, a partner, an ex-partner, a loved one, family member, who you really want to do internal work, who you really want to work on things with, but they just are not willing or capable, Send that person love, send them light, and just accept that that's where they're at right now. Stop beating yourself up, stop holding on. Give them the opportunity and the space to grow for themselves, not for you, for themselves. And maybe things will shift over time. God is capable of healing every relationship. God is capable of healing every person's internal narrative, internal story. Sometimes they just need time. So send them love, be on your way, stop hurting yourself in the process, and see what happens. Trust in the timing of their life and of your own too. I hope this episode helps you guys get a little bit clearer on whether you can or can't get your partner to do the work. I hope it gives you some wisdom on when to let go and when to fight harder. I hope it gives you the knowledge you need to know what to look for in a potential healthy partner. And I hope that it gives you the strength to fight for the right relationship and to be willing to do the work that you need to do too. Like I said, if you're interested in coaching, head to CoachKateDeRocher.com to fill out my application or DM me the word capable at Coach Kate DeRocher. And if you like what you heard, if this gave you any knowledge at all, please like and subscribe and rate this podcast. It will help me grow. It will help me get these tidbits and this advice out to so many more people. And that would mean the absolute world to me. I hope that together, through listening to this, we can help you build better relationships, starting first with the one that you have with yourself. And last but not least, be sure to use code RETREAT at Coach Kate DeRocher to get 10% off of my Wildly Capable for Women's Retreat coming up this Labor Day weekend in Texas. I would be honored to have you there. Please consider joining. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you need to be set up with a payment plan, just reach out and we will make it happen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is such a privilege to get to do this with you all every week. I cannot wait until the next episode.